Hello, everyone. Welcome to Desert Sage Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Beffert, coming to you on the 30th of July, 2024, from my home in southwest Arizona desert. I'm making this video in response to a recent debate that occurred on the 26th of July involving Supervisor Hildy Angius, who's a candidate for Republican Senate seat, Legislative District 30 here in Mohave County. I'm going to unpack this video. I'm not going to unpack the whole debate, just the portion where it was brought to my attention that she brought up the incident where she called me her mortal enemy and kind of framed it a lot differently than what actually occurred, obviously to benefit her and to take away the allegations that she's trying to stifle free speech, that she's a neocon and things of that nature, or a rhino. But in any case, I'm going to unpack this video. This is just an introduction to let you know what this video is about.
Stop him. The other thing they're talking about is early this year, I echoed a resolution that the state did about Israel. I'm Jewish, and I've never once talked about my religion at the podium or anywhere during the thing. And every day, we do, I know where I live, all my friends, my family, my husband, everyone's Christian. I love it. Anytime we're going to pray to God, I'm there, right? But I had this opportunity, and the resolution that the state did was that we support Israel's right to defend herself against terrorism. That was the resolution. I thought it was benign. That's how naive I was. I thought, well, who's going to be, against that? Well, there are people. I've learned very quickly that there are anti-Semitic people in our county.
Okay, I'm going to stop at this point. First of all, this resolution, she knew full well that this was not going to be benign. By the way, I wasn't the only person who objected to it. There were 5 other people who signed up that were opposed to this resolution, and for various reasons, including the ones that I mentioned in there. But I wasn't the only one who objected to it. Yet she wants to label those people who did as anti-Semitic, because in her mind this was benign. She had there had no reason to believe that people would object to the actions of the state of Israel and what was going on over there. This wasn't about Hamas or pro-Israel, pro-Hamas. That's the Hegelian dialectic. That's what they want you to do, is pick sides. This is about pro-humanity and the actions of the Israeli government, and that's what I was objecting to. And the fact that they were supportive of, and they framed it as Israel's right to defend itself. But as you'll see in other videos that I've produced, I talk about what Israel's done, being an apartheid state, Zionist-run apartheid state. And I define Zionism. I talk about different types of Jews and what it means to be a Jew. Her comments that she's a proud Jew and a proud Zionist. So go back and watch those if you want to get a breakdown on that. But I'm going to continue here with the fact that she's, labeled people that oppose what she's saying. Anything that is anti-Israel is anti-Semitic automatically. They try to conflate these terms. They use anti-Semitism just like they use Holocaust denial, as I mentioned, conspiracy theorists to shut down dissent. And that was the point I made. So we'll continue on from.
And I am not somebody who sees anti-Semitism everywhere. I don't talk about it. I don't talk about my religion. I did it once. Gentleman came up to the microphone, and he started insulting me, insulting my religion. People signed up, and they're all opposed. So I would like to know what that's about. Greg Beffert?
Supervisors, for the record, my name is Greg Beffert. And I told you a long time ago that communism was the problem. That's the reason, and it's here, and it's taken its shape in the modern form of political and religious Zionism. And for those of you that are ignorant of Zionism, don't know the difference between political Zionism, don't know the difference between Judaism, Hasidic or Sephardic, Jews or Ashkenazi. This isn't about, the Jewish or Israeli people against Hamas. And I'm not for the violence of Hamas. But you're being lied to. You're being lied to here. This conflict isn't anything like, just like everything else that you're being lied to about. Israel's a Zionist apartheid state. This has nothing to do, and I'm not religious. I have a lot of friends that are Messianic Jews, Orthodox Jews, and you need to know the difference. And you need to know the political and the religious Zionists that currently run the Biden administration. There's 400 and something of them calling the shots in Washington, D.C. You might think that's funny. I don't. A small percentage of the population controls the cabinet of the United States. Dual citizen Israelis that have a say in what happens here in this country. And you want to pass a resolution about protecting that state? You know nothing about the USS Liberty or Jonathan Pollard? You know nothing about the harm that the Israeli government has done to the United States? Again, this isn't, and go ahead and pull out your, he's an anti-Semite trope. Go ahead and do that. You know what you can do with it. It has nothing to do with being anti-Semitic. You don't even know, most people don't even know the meaning of the term, but they'll use that to try to shut down dissent. Just like Holocaust denial, just like conspiracy theorists, they use to shut down dissent. We have enough problems in this country, in this county right now. I've sent Supervisor Gould a resolution. You have it in your hand. I drafted the deals with the COVID vaccinations. You took your flag halfway up the hill again by not supporting the funding of that. You haven't removed the harm, though. You haven't removed the harm. There's still harm that needs to be done, that needs to be taken care of. So what are you going to do about that resolution? And now what we're doing is Israel's first. If you listen to these neocons and the Zionists in Washington, Israel first, Ukraine. We're sending billions and billions of dollars overseas to defend their borders. What about ours in this country? So my recommendation to you is that you can this resolution and focus your efforts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beffert. As a Jew, I now know that you are my mortal enemy. And like the Palestinian protesters that were there on opening day, I consider you an enemy. May I respond? No. Next up is James Jones. All the old tropes of anti-Semitism that I really haven't heard in my life. I was told about it, so I got angry. I'm a human being. It was akin to if you have an African-American person sitting on a governing board and someone calls him the N-word. It was the same thing.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. See how she tries to conflate somebody who's African, it's the same thing, somebody who's African-American and calling them the N-word, and the things that I said, and as being somehow anti-Semitic, and calling her names. That was not a personal attack on her. It was what she was proposing to do, and it wasn't about her religion, and I made that clear. And yet, you see, she tries to conflate it. Conflation, she's masterful at it.
So I said to him, "You are my mortal enemy." And I said his name. I'm human. I was so shocked by it. So after he did it, I said, I'm not going to apologize, but then after thinking about it, because emotions were running high, I apologized for doing what I did from the podium as the chairman of the board. I was speaking for myself. Those were the only 2 times I have stopped people. I didn't even stop them. They still spoke. I just reacted. And we're human beings, right? I mean, we're all upset about things. And that's the only 2 times. I'm very proud of my record on the Board of Supervisors, and I think if you talk to most people in Mohave County, they'd agree. 12 years on the Board of Supervisors, one time, I didn't say it angrily. All I said is, you're my mortal enemy. And I meant it at the time. I did. I was not expecting that. I've never heard it. It was horribly insulting and scary with what we're going through in our country right now with anti-Semitism. I'm scared. It's scary times to be a Jew in this country, so.
Okay, I'm going to interject here again. She says that it's scary right now in our country with what we're going. She was scared, with what we're going through in this country right now with anti-Semitism and the rise in anti-Semitism. And it's a scary time to be a Jew. This is a perfect example of deflection. And at the same time, she's trying to minimize the things that she said or make excuses for why she did. She's fearful. There's anti-Semitism is rampant, and yet she doesn't. I'm not one of these people that goes around thinking about anti-Semitism all the time or calling it out. Well, yet in that particular case, she was so scared that's the reason that she did what she did. And of course, the fact that she, quote unquote, is human and obviously makes mistakes and reacted emotionally. Well, a lot of this has to go to her identity, and I'll talk about that later.
I apologized online, and the gentleman didn't accept it, which is fine. He comes every week now, every Board of Supervisor meeting, basically says the same thing, and I sit there and I say thank you.
Yes, and I think that might be the problem with going on the internet, and which is why I have not gone on Facebook, even though my opponent has come out and said I've done things and I'm not accounting for them on the internet. Well, I don't believe in Facebook, and I'm not going to support something I don't believe in because Meta, Facebook, all of these things. I'm completely against it because that's what's ruining our country. Firstly. Secondly, that is absolutely not the case, unfortunately. What happened was, and you can go back and you can check, or there's text messages or screenshots about the back and forth as far as what happened with this individual. And unfortunately, the individual felt hurt because he went to the call to the public because he had something to say, and he used his voice, his freedom to speak, to say what he had to say, and instead of being met with grace, he was met with, "You are my mortal enemy." And so I genuinely was upset about that myself. We talk about systemic racism and all of these systemic issues, and no offense, but that's one of the reasons, equality, why we're in the issues that we're in. So thank you.
A man who says the Holocaust didn't happen does not deserve my grace. I'm sorry.
Well, so now that you see and you've actually observed and you can decide for yourself whether or not the statements that she made during that debate were truthful or not, represented the reality of what was said, what I said, why I was up there, her response to me, her apology, all of those things. And then at the very end, to call me a Holocaust denier was just icing on the cake. I'm all those things. I'm an anti-Semite, a Jew hater, and a Holocaust denier. Right up there with conspiracy theorists because of the control that the Jewish lobby and AIPAC have over our country. ADL has over censorship, control over Hollywood, the media, all those things. Anytime you bring that up or you point that out, you get thrown those labels and those names. I could give a shit less. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.